Hey everyone, it's Peter from Worship Central here. We've been filming some guitar tutorial videos today, and we thought while we had all the stuff set up that we could give you a quick kind of look at the equipment that I use and some of the stuff I use to get my guitar sounds. So we'll start with the guitars, the most important thing. This is my kind of #1 guitar. I actually had this given to me by a very good friend, and this is like my dream guitar. It's a custom shop Nocaster. Heavy relic. It's about 18 years old. It's made around 2000, and it's just a wonderful guitar, replica of a 1951, essentially a Telecaster, but it's called a Nocaster. And yeah, Fender guitars are great. They have a really kind of biting sound when you need to kind of sit through the mix. And I just find this so reliable, very rarely goes out of tune, and yeah, hardly ever breaks strings, just a really, really solid workhorse guitar. And I'm a big fan of country music and all that kind of stuff, and so this guitar is, yeah, my go-to desert island guitar. And then I also have a few others with me. This Gretsch Guitar, again, just a great guitar, really big sound, not quite as bright as the Telecaster, really good for the worship style. A lot of other guys play Gretsch guitars, and so if you want that kind of, I guess, typical worship sound, a Gretsch is a really good starting point for that. And I also use it for a bit of jazz, and I'm a big fan of Chet Atkins, who was infamous with Gretsch. So that's the Gretsch, and then PRS. This guitar, I don't play this loads, but we have a couple of songs in our set list that are in drop C, and so that kind of requires a dedicated guitar with some heavier strings. And so that's what I use the PRS for. It's tuned down to drop C, got like 12 to 56 gauge strings on it, but it's a great guitar as well. That's Tim Hughes, one of his old acoustics. You don't need to know anything about that. And then over here we've got my pedal board, so quite compact. I've always just kind of been used to this size of pedal board. For me, one of the absolute priorities is just transport, and particularly in Europe, airlines aren't quite as helpful as in North America, and so having a nice little small pedal board I always find super helpful. And so basically what I have first up is this King Fuzz, made by Bigfoot Engineering company here in the UK. Just a really simple, big, aggressive fuzz pedal, which I get to kick on sometimes and take things to 11. Then we have this Nano Pog by Electro Harmonix. This pedal kind of, it's just a classic pedal to have in the worship thing. It's been used for years. I like using the sub-octave on it a lot as well as the octave up, but I try to not overuse it, but I've had one for probably 8 or 9 years. I actually got this smaller one a few years ago and just can't seem to get rid of it. Then I have a Polytune Mini, TC Electronic, just a really handy little tuner compressor by JHS pedals called the Pulp and Pale. This is a slightly older version. I've had this for a long time. Just a really great pedal, which gives me, if I play for you. Really great for your clean sound. And then I also use it as a boost sometimes going into my overdrives. Timmy pedal, this is my favorite pedal, just always on. My wife bought it for me a couple of years ago, and kind of leave all the dials usually set around there. The bass and treble controls on this pedal are actually cut controls, so when you roll them, you're actually taking bass off and treble off. And yeah, it's kind of always on for me. So that would be my kind of starting sound for a lot of songs, and work from there. Then we have this pedal. This is the newest one I have on my board, got it last year. It's called the Gunshot by Thorpe Effects, again, another company based here in the UK, and just a great, great pedal. It's got 2 different gain circuits in it, and you can kind of blend between them. And so to let you hear that. Just a really nice full overdrive, and I can kind of tweak it and get much higher gain sounds as well if I ever need them. Yeah, simple. I mean, I sometimes wish I had a bigger board and space for more drives, but the compressor and those 2 overdrives for me are really versatile, and yeah, get me a lot of the sounds I need. I then have this really old Boss Chorus pedal, CE2. Picked this up in a kind of old weird guitar shop in Michigan one time, and yeah, absolutely love it. beautiful kind of analog chorus sound. So I put that on for some parts. And then, so one of the interesting things about what I'm doing is all of the pedals I've just shown you are going into the front of my Kemper, which we'll talk about in a minute. And so they all come out of this cable here. And then from the Kemper, we come back into the pedal board and we split into stereo with these two Strymon pedals. So yeah, all of these pedals are in front of the Kemper or the amp if I use an amp. And then these two are in the stereo effects loop. So again, Strymon, Timeline, Big Sky, you've seen these a million times. I had a DD20, Boss DD20 for years and years when I was a teenager, when I first started touring, and yeah, just eventually kind of got a little tired of the sound. And the Strymon Timeline I got, I think, in 2011, 2012, and just, yeah, can't get rid of it. It's an amazing delay pedal. I have one sound that I use a lot. I call it Chirp Plus, because it has a little bit of a chirp on the repeats. And that's just kind of my go-to sound, and a lot of my other sounds are tweaked from that. And yeah, basically I just, I just go between a few of the main sounds. Reverse delay on the Strymon is awesome. I have straight up quarter note delays, eighth note delays. I have some stereo bounce delays. I also have a few more specific sounds. So we have a song called All That Matters, and it has some shimmer stuff. So those are all saved in there, and typically when I run live, I take a MIDI feed from our drummer's tracks rig straight into my delay pedal, and then throughout the set list I don't have to worry about BPMs or tapping things in. It just happens automatically, and I just switch between the delay sounds that I use. And then yeah, the Strymon Big Sky, yeah, this pedal kicked off my Strymon Flint, which is an amazing pedal as well, but just again for a lot of the worship sounds that we're going for in Worship Central, this pedal just seems to do the trick. So I have kind of 4 or 5 main reverbs. Maybe one of the more commonly used ones is this. Which, as you can hear, just has a really nice tail on it. And then maybe an example of a more wacky one is this Magneto, where it's quite airy and high end. And that's fun for some different parts. So that's the pedals. You've seen all that stuff before. Somebody's coming in. We're in Gas Street Church here in Birmingham. It's February and it's quite cold. And over here we've got my Kemper. So I've had a Kemper for a couple of years now, and they've become really popular. And for me, they just make a lot of sense, especially traveling. It means I can have the same sound every gig, which was a big problem for me when I used amps, never having a guarantee of kind of the quality of the amps or any of that stuff. Also at home for recording, for not annoying neighbors, all that kind of stuff, the Kemper is just makes a lot of sense for me. It's very dependent on the profiles that you use. I really recommend you check out Brit profiles, and I use a little Walter profile that he made, and I've tweaked it quite extensively to kind of sound good with my main 2 guitars. I don't really do much on the Kemper. I just basically use it as an amp. I don't switch between profiles or effects or anything. Sometimes I'll bring a little auxiliary switch out and maybe use chorus or flange or tremolo if I need that effect for a song. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I use some slides by Rock Slide, which are just great little things. They have some little features that just make it a lot easier to play with. So check out Rock Slides, G7th Capos, great guys based in the UK. And I think that's it. Thank you.